Hopefully this is not repetitive, but Nick asked me to define a registry, and I think it is important. It is important to say what I'm actually talking about when I talk about a registry, because I'm English, and in England we actually call it a register, but over the years we've gradually said that we'll take on the definition of registry. And in a registry, historically, we would have described it with cases of, we are looking at how many cases of alternating hemiplegia are there in Europe. So we're looking at a really epidemiological study on how many cases there are, or perhaps looking into the cost of treating all cases of Pompei's. My experience is really in databases, is in cohorts, notably in one of the projects which is called Euro-Wilson. And in this, we were not trying to get complete coverage in Europe, but we wanted to look at specific subgroups of patients as to whether or not that we could study. In practice, these terms are used interchangeably, so we talk about registries, and so I come back to the topic of registries. I do not want to rest on these points at all, because I have 7 minutes, and they have been beautifully described by the two speakers before me, but registries are important. Now, coming back to the topic, patient registries into an online rare disease community. Now, I've put online into brackets here, because I think it's only now, coming from a different perspective, an industry perspective, where we're building partnerships with academically governed registries, we're only now just thinking about how patients and these online rare disease communities are going to be accessing and informing these registries with data entered by themselves. It really is, in its early stages, is in Europe, and this is coming okay from my personal experience, but personal experience in 5 academically governed registries today. And I just want to take the example of Euro-Wilson and saying how we've moved from being a patient registry into being what I call a rare disease community, that are more formally known today as European reference networks, but I would like to change, and I would like this meeting to be a start to say that these should be not European reference networks, but global reference networks, because we now have projects that are way beyond the dimensions of Europe and working with Japan and working with the US. So let's make this a step to changing that. The Euro-Wilson started off as a research project, and it has moved through over the years. You can see the different stages. It was originally academics and one industry partner, that was us, working on a registry, and it has moved into a European reference network with an extremely focused way of working, which is a strong patient focus. So we have a group of patients that are working and giving oversight into that community. And I think we have become a community in a rare disease where there's academics, industry, patient groups, and we have members of the EMA advising on that group. Now, I'm not listing, and I haven't tried to look at all the different issues. I want to pick up on 4 points that I think we need to pay attention to when we're thinking about moving a registry into an online community and having patient access into registries. 2 of these points, I'm sure, bring absolute value, and 2 of them where we actually, I think, need to pay great attention into how we work with this. The first point is geographical coverage. On a project like Euro-Wilson or EIMD that's working on organic aciduria or cycle disorders, if we look at the data and we look at it on a population basis that we're picking up in the registry, we know that we're not picking up all the cases because the variation is too great and it can't be just explained genetically. So in some countries, we're not achieving complete coverage depending on the structure. A second point is sustainability, and this has come up a lot. And again, I think this way of working and a new vision to how we work in the collaboration on registries is going to help. Terminology. I was recently in a meeting, well, recently, it's probably about 10 years ago now, in a meeting with Poland with the most eminent neurologists working in Wilson's disease. They were unable to describe a clinical presentation of Wilson's disease in the same way. And we've discovered that between scientists. It's going to be even more acute in Europe, where we're working with 23 languages. And if we're now thinking about the terminology, when we're asking patients to enter their own data, I think we have to be very, very careful in how we work with that. And patient awareness of European reference networks. Conferences like this are absolutely fantastic. They're a very multi-stakeholder attitude towards that. But we did a recent survey, and we're working with an elite few, because those patients that are members of patient organisations tend to be that those are the most well-informed anyway. And even when we go to those patient groups, and we've done a survey on 3 of our European reference networks to learn about the awareness of these networks, only 50% of the members of the patient groups are actually aware of these networks existing. So I think those are important points, and maybe some solutions to propose. In the geographical coverage, I think we have to work together, and obviously these patient communities are going to be able to help in the recruitment of patients to the registry. Sustainability, and yes, I think Ségolène Aimé said yesterday 1,200 diseases that will be treatable. Because when we talk about registries, most of the time it is because there is a therapy that is already available or will be possible in that disease area. So if we're having, we know that the cost of a registry is not the building of the registry, it's not the analysis of the data, it's the data entry which costs, and it's the clinician's time that costs money. So we're building one of those bridges to making it more sustainable. Terminology, I think we're going to have, again, it's going to be a very collaborative approach. I don't think it's ever going to be possible of saying to a patient, hello, you have X disease, off you go, there's a registry, here's your file, and get on with it. There's going to have to be absolute training, collaboration, and help in entering that data. And the patient awareness, despite the fact that we're working together in these European reference networks and with these patient groups, we still need greater communication mechanisms to make this function. And I will stop there and pass over to Nick.